Welcome, everybody, to our council meeting. It's the first day of October 2024, and welcome to colleagues on council staff. We have two council members joining us, one from the east, I said earlier on, one from the west. So Councillors Lane and Rice are zooming in, and we have many guests related to proclamations here in the chamber. And I'm going to accept a motion, council, because you see before you a lot of paper on my desk, but I notice yours is much cleaner. Motion, please, for the agenda. Moved by Councillor Lane, thank you, and second by Councillor Rice. All in favor? Those opposed? And motion carried. Thank you. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Minutes for the meeting on the 17th of September are there. And I want to thank staff very much for putting them together. Council, if there's any errors or omissions, would you please point them out now before we vote on the acceptance? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call for a motion. Thank you by Councillor Antle and second by Councillor Fry. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And that motion is carried as well. Any business arising, folks? Thank you very much. Hearing none, I'm going to move to proclamations. And the first proclamation we have today is Newfoundland and Labrador Foster Families, and it's Foster Families Month. And I'm happy to welcome a social worker with the Foster Families of Newfoundland and Labrador, Laurie Peterson, to the chamber. Laurie, would you like to come up while we read the proclamation and talk a little bit about what you're doing for the youth in our province? Whereas Newfoundland and Labrador foster families provide a safe and nurturing environment for the children and youth in their homes. And whereas the City of Mount Pearl recognizes the important role of foster families in the child protection system in our province and the role of the Newfoundland and Labrador Foster Families Association. Whereas foster families are celebrated as valued members of their communities for their contribution to the well-being of our province and our country. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council, I do hereby proclaim that the month of October, and this is a good start to the month, it's the first, well, so welcome. We're going to proclaim October Council as Foster Families Month. I'll sign that copy. Maybe this one. And all right, so good to see you. And I'd love to hear what you're planning now for the next little while and maybe in the long term. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for having us and all council members. We appreciate you proclaiming October as Foster Families Month. As you know, within our province, currently we have just over 900 children that are in care in our province. And unfortunately, we have a shortage of foster homes. So part of this month is about making awareness out there in our community to ensure that, you know, sometimes people don't think that they can do it. Maybe just finding some information or even helping out by being respite foster parents can help out the children within our communities, within our province. The other piece is it is about recognizing the benefits that the children and youth have from having a loving and safe environment while their families are working on some of their challenges. The goal is always for kids to transition back home, but in the meantime, they do need a safe environment. And that is what our foster families do within all of our communities, and especially within your area in the City of Mount Pearl. So again, it's just about awareness and it's about recognizing all of the valuable things that foster parents do, and in turn, what that does for the children and youth.
Council, oh, no, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't know if my colleagues wanted to chime in, but we are a very family oriented community, and the work that you do here in our community, which is largely unseen unless you know of a family. It's very important work, and I want to thank you for coming in here today. And would you like to get a picture with us before we leave? And we'll help to promote that. We have the proclamation right here. We'll Photoshop Councillor Rice and Lane in later. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back, Councillor Antle. Now, when two people come in to do a proclamation, the proclamations tend to be longer, just saying. But you know, Fire Prevention Week is upcoming, and I understand we've done this traditionally within the region under the auspices of the St. John's Regional Fire Department, but there's some changes coming. I see some new blood here in the chamber, and I'm happy to welcome Deputy Chief Ian Green, along with the Fire Inspector Matthew or Matt Power. Would you please join us for the proclamation? This is usually a marathon at the beginning of our meetings, just because we like to do lots of proclamations. Whereas the city of Mount Pearl is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. And fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at greatest risk to fire. And whereas cooking equipment is the leading cause of home structure fires and associated injuries are third leading cause of home fire deaths. And whereas heating, electrical equipment, and smoking materials are among the leading causes of reported home fires. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. We here in the city of Mount Pearl and our first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire deaths and injuries through prevention and protection education. Mount Pearl residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas the Fire Prevention Week 2024 theme is smoke alarms, make them work for you, effectively serves to remind us all of the simple actions we can take to stay safer from fire during Fire Prevention Week and all year round. I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of my colleagues on council, we do hereby proclaim the week of October 6th to the 12th as Fire Prevention Week. And I urge all the people of Mount Pearl to heed the important safety message of Fire Prevention Week 2024 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the St. John's Regional Fire Department's Fire and Emergency Services. Now, it's in the folder, isn't it? What's it called? Ashes, Innovation, Strategizing for the Future. Let's talk. Matthew, I always thought that the batteries in the smoke detectors got changed, you know, when the clocks changed in the fall.
Yes.
As well as in the spring. But this year I noticed a change in terms of the battery checkup. I think it was late September they were advocating that we do it.
Yeah, NFPA try to keep it simple with once a month we test our alarms. Once a year, we change our batteries. And once every 10 years, we change the smoke detector because most fire protection devices have a 10-year life span within a residential. So a lot of times you do hear at spring and fall, change your batteries. I mean, there's no harm in doing it an extra time. But one and one is what it's just easy to remember. So thank you, Mayor and councillors, for having us here today for the proclamation. I'm new to fire prevention. I'm not new to the fire service. I've been 20 years as a firefighter and in 10 years as a career in here in St. John's or in the district. And it's a breath of fresh air to be able to come in and do these sorts of things because so often we respond in a reactive role when a house is already on fire and people are already at risk and injured and so on. So it's good to be able to get out and spread our message. Fire Prevention Week is 1 week, but we have many other weeks throughout the year that we hope that we can get the messaging rolling after that week to all age groups and so on. It's our tools as fire prevention, even if we save one house fire with our messaging, is better than 1,000 responses of our quick attack crews, and because the fire started at that point. So as the mayor was saying, this year it's smoke alarms, make them work for you. It's no coincidence that every year alarms in some form or another are in our fire prevention messaging, because it's so vital to the safety of people within the households and buildings. And we're still, we have a lot better building techniques, codes, all of that stuff these days. People are, I would argue to say, much more receptive in general, but we still are having, fatalities and injuries and everything. And more often than not, in those occupancies, there are no alarms. So just keep with the messaging and as to everyone you can speak to about spreading the word, how important they are to us. This year, with Fire Prevention Week, we are doing our standard fire drills to over 40 schools in our areas. We actually got the list finalized this week. We got a load of donations, thankfully, to a lot of business owners, or from a lot of business owners. We added to that this year, and we do have new people come on board, so that was great to see. So we put those together for our children's prizes, and we're hoping this year as well to bring it into a teacher level, because we're finding in the last number of years a drop off on our drawings, our Fire Prevention Week drawings. So just to try to bring some in, to get more activity and so on. We're going to be at the Avalon Mall this week, or next week, sorry, for the whole week, throughout the day and in the evenings, and on Saturday for the full day, the following weekend. We did do a little bit different this year with regard to our open house. In the last few years, we've been doing it at multiple stations throughout the city, and we're a very small group, so we're spreading resources very thin. And oftentimes at stations, we'd have our crews going out on runs, and we'd be left with one or no people in stations with people showing up. So this year we are sticking to West Station, and we're bringing a whole new world into it. We have technology brought in, fire extinguisher simulators, some like hands-on games, crawl, load through areas for the children or for adults, whoever. We have a Kahoot game this year, which is you do it off your phones, but it's all online, so it'll be done through a screen there that we have set up. Outside, we're going to have the truck set up with some hose and water for the children to just hit at some targets and stuff. So it's a lot more put into it. So we're hoping for a good day and some good turnout. So again, thank you all, and keep spreading the message for us.
Thank you, Inspector Power. I think Councillor Antler wants to chime in on the discussion.
Thanks very much, guys. I'm Bill Antler. I'm our city's representative on the regional fire, and I just so happen to be a co-chair of the regional fire along with Carl Ridgely. And Mark Rice has He's one of our representatives too, and he said, say hello to Ian Green. All right, so as long as he's there, yeah, I don't know if he can see or not, but he's texting. But you do so much when I'm on committee level, and your fire department does so much, and awareness now is key. You notice now, like last night on my wife and I were watching TV, and there was advertising about changing your fire detectors or smoke detectors. And right away, it was just common knowledge now. We always change our fire, but that's because of you guys. Like, it's common knowledge to change your smoke detector now. I used to do it, every time the clock changed, but now it's just normal. I mean, you guys have done that. People just normally see it. We don't want you to make house calls in Mount Pearl. Don't show up to my house. We don't want to see you. All right? Well, I've just noticed a couple of things, and you were talking about, we did, a bunch of us is just off topic. We did fire ops 101. Never again. Never again. Myself and Councillor Fry did it. It's fabulous. Highly recommend if you do it again, to do it. Was eye-opening to see what you guys have to do to save lives. And thank you very much for all that. One of the things I'd like to ask you is the fire at home escape plan. Do many families take advantage of that, or have they do that? Do they do that, or how do you recommend people to do it more?
And I mean, it goes to say a show with, a lot of times we show up to a house when something does go wrong, and everyone is accounted for before we get there. Knock on wood, and God willing. So we hope it keeps going that way.
Yes, please, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. A couple of questions on the smoke detectors. First, you mentioned every 10 years to change it. Does that apply to these that are wired into your house right now, as opposed to battery operated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
All smoke detectors?
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot more of new building code speaks to wired setups. But there are still a lot of, like in my own home, I have some wired setup, and I have some that are just standalone battery operated. These days, it's in code for new homes, but we promote it for every home, that you have it on one in a hallway on every level, and you have it in all your bedrooms. And if they can speak to one another, you don't even need wire detectors to do that, or alarms to do that. You can get them wirelessly speaking to one another these days. Yeah. But any smoke detector is better than no smoke detector, right? So.
The second question on smoke detectors is, if they're set off.
Yes.
Which quite often happens in my kitchen when I'm at the
Yes.
stove.
Yes.
So if my smoke detector is engaged 3, 4, 10 times within
a
3-week period.
You said, well, that worked.
It's reassuring that it works, but then I'm wondering, is it going to work the next time? Because is there
a frequency like
Yes.
drained out more so? I don't know. And chief,
No,
I don't know of anything. No.
Okay.
No.
very good?
Just don't take the batteries out of it.
I never do.
Yes.
But I was just curious. Now I'm after setting this off several times. So,
Yeah.
is it now done? Should I replace it after so many times it shoots off, right? One other one, you spoke of Kahoot, and I know you said in the school systems, you're trying to target the teachers. I'm a former teacher,
Yes.
retired, and try to engage the students. That Kahoot is a great tool.
Yes,
It's, like you said, it's online,
yes,
and I use it as a review.
yes,
We had a test coming up or for any particular reason, and it's a game where the students are competing against each other.
yes,
So I was just thinking that might be a neat thing as opposed to you're getting people to draw and color. If you had prizes for
you know what?
the
Yes,
top Kahoot winners.
yes,
Because kids would be all over that.
that is true.
And then
That's
that may
true.
be another way,
Yes.
because they're competing with each other. They're engaged all the time
Yes.
because they want to win.
Yeah, so you're saying I got a lot of work the rest of this week?
Well,
No, that's a very good point. Yeah, we definitely could look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do it through the school systems. Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah.
And I just want to echo what Councillor Bill said, that we commend you and your team, your men and women, for all that you do, because we take it for granted. But when we need you, you're there.
Yes,
So just let you know that we do appreciate the service that you do provide.
yes, and thank you.
So thank you.
I like to say that we try to have our best day when, I like to say that we try to have our best day when people are having their worst. So, if we can be professional on the scene when people are not having a very good day, then that's what we do. So.
Hi. Yes, I know you guys are always the first on the scene. You're so quick. And we've done several tours of the fire stations and how quick you guys get there. It's so impressive. And I echo my colleagues to say thank you for that. It is truly appreciated. I do have a question though. In Mount Pearl, we have an awful lot of pets. So what would be your advice for pet owners in the event of a fire? And I know a couple of years ago, I don't know where I got it. I had a sticker that
Yes.
goes on your window with
Yes.
a number of pets. I don't know where I got it, but what is your advice for pet owners?
Well, you took some of my thunder. So the stickers are a great tool. I've seen many of them on front doors and so on. Ultimately, another to go to the home escape plan. Pets are also included in the home escape plan, not to go look for them, but to make sure when you get out that you have a way of communicating it to us who are showing up there on what is in the house and where they regular places that they hang out to and so on. It was some of our biggest problems are, people want to go back and get them, and that's where we end up with smoke inhalation, and that's a whole other issue then that shows up at sea. And so, we do our best, and speaking from experience, and I'm sure the chief could say the same. Cats are very resilient, and I have taken several out of houses, and they do very good. And dogs as the same, and it is a priority when we get there. Of course, everything is done in a process for us, but it's a priority of ours. So, yes.
Okay, anybody else? Talking to my colleagues out east and out west. All good, let's do a picture, will we? And Deputy Chief and Inspector, thank you so much for coming. All right, here we go again, and yes. A reminder to use this microphone, just so my colleagues who are zooming in, our colleagues can hear what we're saying. And I'm pleased to bring to the table the National Breastfeeding Week 2024 proclamation. That week's going to be October 1st to the 7th, but a couple of introductions. We have Lisa Roberts, a regional lactation consultant, and Tracy English, a regional nutritionist. And I said a few minutes ago, I said Eastern Health, but it's not Eastern Health anymore. It's Health NL. NLHS, Health Services, eh? Well, good to see you. Thank you. This is a ritual. I've been on council, I think I said to you 15 years, and we've done this every fall of every year. No worries.
I think this is, we've been here at least 15 times. Like there's many of you that I've seen several times, and yeah, it's our pleasure to be here. This is excellent.
So whereas breastfeeding is recommended for optimal nutrition and healthy growth and development in the early months and years of life, and is fundamental to the well-being and prosperity of communities. And whereas breastfeeding has an impact on lifelong health, with exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months and continued breastfeeding for 2 years and beyond, ensuring that mothers and children receive maximum health benefits. And whereas breastfeeding is one of the most cost-effective prevention strategies for many infections and chronic and acute diseases, and whereas infant feeding is one of the most important decisions that a family will ever make, and whereas parents need the support of family, friends, government, health authorities, municipalities, community groups, and organizations, businesses, and employers, and whereas National Breastfeeding Week provides an opportunity for people to celebrate and to raise public awareness about the importance of breastfeeding and the role everyone can play in normalizing breastfeeding. So whereas the theme for National Breastfeeding Week 2024 is Closing the Gap, Breastfeeding Support for All, which focuses on survival, health, and well-being. It highlights the need to improve breastfeeding support to reduce inequalities that exist in our society. All breastfeeding parents need access to breastfeeding support, and it is essential that no one is left behind. Therefore, I, the Mayor of Mount Pearl, on behalf of Mount Pearl City Council and my colleagues, we do hereby proclaim October the 1 to October the 7th as National Breastfeeding Week. And we do this today. This is 2024, October 1st. And welcome to autumn, and welcome back to the chamber. And I always start this with the question that, is Newfoundland and Labrador still lagging national stats
Yes,
when
we
it
are.
comes to breastfeeding?
Yes, we are. Yeah, unfortunately. But we're doing better. We are improving. Thank you for letting us come again this year. The theme of National Breastfeeding Week this year is about closing the gaps. And one of the gaps that we know exists for mothers or families who choose to breastfeed is breastfeeding in public. That's it's a real issue. It seems to be an issue perhaps in Newfoundland and Labrador a little bit more. I don't know if Newfoundland and Labrador women are more modest or whatever, but we know that that is a gap. So supportive communities play a big role in helping us and helping families feel comfortable to feed their babies whenever, wherever, because we know that babies they don't let you know when they want to feed, and you could be anywhere, and if they need to feed, they need to feed. So having communities that are supportive of breastfeeding is really, really important. And our partnership with the City of Mount Pearl, we've been, like we mentioned, has been long-standing and ongoing. Our breastfeeding support group at the Reed Center has been in place for a number of years and is very well attended. I was with a mother actually today who doesn't live in this area, but chooses to attend that group because it's a lovely welcoming group, the setup, whatever. But so I think it just speaks to how important it is. Sometimes when we talk about how effective our breastfeeding support groups are, we could do all kinds of metrics on measuring them. We've done client surveys, whatever. But I guess the best one to look at is that mothers just keep coming back. So if they didn't value, appreciate, want to be involved, they wouldn't come back. And we know that our rates of repeat attendees at our groups is high, and that includes one of the most well-attended groups is the one that we have in the city of Mount Pearl. And we know as well, because the city of Mount Pearl is such a family centered municipality, that makes a difference. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much. Counselor Lane or Rice, I'm going to start with you. I just want to make sure I don't leave you out. Do you want to chime in? Yeah, go ahead, Counselor Lane.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here again this year. The breastfeeding support group that's offered the Recent Draw, I can say firsthand, I've been there, is phenomenal. This is my second breastfeeding journey with my third baby. And you know, it's a lot of hard work, but there's so many benefits and there's so much value to breastfeeding your child. And I think you're absolutely right in saying it seems to be in Newfoundland, it's less common to breastfeed in public. But you know what? I'm seeing more of it, I can say, from firsthand experience as a mother. And I mean, I've been in situations several times now when like your baby gets hungry and that's it. If your baby's hungry, you have to feed them and it's natural. And I think people are heading in the direction of being more accepting of women breastfeeding in public, which I think is fantastic. But of course, we still have a ways to go. So thank you for being here again this year. And I'm glad to see this proclamation brought forth again.
Thank you.
Counselor Locke, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, thank you for coming back. And I appreciate your comments about the city of Mount Pearl being, you know, family oriented, family friendly. And I think we do our part. And I tip my hat to our staff at our variety of facilities. You know, we take the credit here, but they're the ones that day in, day out do the work. As Councillor Lane said, as a male, I've noticed the difference in breastfeeding, and my two boys who are in their 30s now, I hate to admit, but I mean, they were breastfed. But I remember the awkwardness, you know, around, you know, some other male family members because they weren't used to seeing that. And, you know, my wife would sometimes leave the room because they didn't want to cause discomfort, or my male family member would leave the room because they were uncomfortable. But I think that's changing, and I'm blessed with 3 grandbabies, all of whom have been breastfed. And my beautiful daughter-in-law, you know, had no qualms about it. And, you know, I'm delighted to say she felt comfortable in my presence and, you know, other male counterparts. So I think to Councillor Lane's point that it is changing, you know, change is slow, but we're getting there, and we're aiming in the city to be more inclusive. So I know we're going to have some further discussions around breastfeeding. That was just brought up recently in one of our meetings. And, you know, I'd like to see, you know, at our facilities where maybe there's a designated room so that if a mother wants to go, but it's not some broom closet, but it's a dedicated, warm, inviting room. And I think I speak on behalf of council that that's the trend that we're looking, you know, to move towards, to be more inclusive as a city. So again, the work you guys do, gals do coming in here, education is key to make it more normalized, and I know the health benefits, you know, of the breastfeeding of the babies in terms of less infections and stronger immune systems and all that sort of stuff. So thank you again for coming in, and hopefully we'll see you again next year.
You'll see us next year, hopefully, if we are permitted to come. And Councillor Locke, your grandchildren were here for what used to be World Breastfeeding Week. It's National Breastfeeding Week now. I don't know how many, like 5 or 6 years ago would that have been? Yeah. So they came. We used to bring families with us, and sometimes it's just a little bit hard to coordinate. Just to speak to one point that you made, which is excellent. You talked about the health benefits for babies, and you know the health benefits for mothers too is, you know, exceptional, and often doesn't get as much airplay, I guess, as looking at the baby. We know now that the health benefits for mothers continues on decades later, and there are very few health interventions that we undertake that benefit women. Like, for example, in terms of preventing diabetes, cardiovascular disease, all of those things often impact the mother in her 5th, 6th, 7th decade of life. And that all comes from breastfeeding. So we know, like often people talk about less breast cancer, less ovarian cancer, but we know that those benefits also exist. So if you were to compare it with other health interventions, for example, if you take a medication to lower your cholesterol, that works while you're taking it. Whereas breastfeeding, like those benefits continuing on, and we're just finding more and more out. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yes, you're invited back a year from today. Do the same thing over again and we'll just keep on hammering away.
And I should mention to you too, the council can expect a letter or a certificate of appreciation coming from the Breastfeeding Committee for Canada. We've nominated the City of Mount Pearl because you've been such a supportive community. So there will be a certificate coming, and if you want to display it somewhere prominently, yeah, because we really appreciate our continued relationship. And when you're developing your programs, if you want Tracy and I to come in, and we can certainly help you with that if you wanted some outside help. Yeah, thank
You're
you.
very kind. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, please.
Well, we're gonna have you guys back before the year's up if we win that award or get that award, just saying. The Recreation and Community Safety Committee report. I'm looking over at Counselor Fry to begin, I believe. Counselor Locke, thank you.
So first on our agenda this evening is the Admiralty House Communications Museum. It's the second installment for their operating grant for 2024. And our committee recommends approval to release the second and final installment of the Admiralty House Communications Museum, their operating subsidy in the amount of $57,500 as per the memorandum of understanding between the city and the museum. And I so move.
Thank you much. Moved by Counselor Fry, second by Counselor Locke. Sorry about that. Any questions, council? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And the two online? Hands are raised. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll take over from here, Mayor. I'm no longer locked out. The next one for us is the Summit Artistic Swimming cancellation of Sensory Swim. For the information of the public, the Summit Artistic Swimming is going to host a joint fundraiser with the Synchro Clubs and Planned Parenthood on Saturday, October 19th at our Summit Center from 4:30 to 10:30 p.m. The Sensory Swim schedule for October 19th, as a result, will be canceled and notification will be posted throughout the facility and on all of our social media platforms. So that's for information purposes. The next one has to do with the Admiralty House Communications Museum and the Association for the Arts of Mount Pearl. The Trunk or Treat is being held on October 27th. So for those interested in decorating their trunks to give out treats, we'll have to complete an online form. And please contact our museum at 709-748-1124, or they can visit the Admiralty House Museum's website for all the details. And I know this is always well attended, and it's a great event. So our thanks to Admiralty House and our Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl for putting this off. And I'll turn it over now to Councillor Fry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. The final item on our agenda for this evening is regarding public awareness surrounding Newfoundland Labrador Crime Stoppers. The city encourages any individual who has knowledge of a crime or suspicious activity to share that information with the Newfoundland and Labrador Crime Stoppers. There has been an increase in activity across the Northeast Avalon. And I was part of a meeting recently for the Northeast Avalon Joint Regional Council, and there was a discussion on this. And one of the things that the Sergeant Ryan Slaney from the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, one of the things he was saying is that the justice system fundamentally depends on somebody else reporting the issue. If somebody doesn't report it, they cannot act on it. And I've had a number of parents speak to me over the last, I guess, over a year or so ago, within the last year or so. And one of the things that they have concerns over, which is, I feel, justified, they say, look, I'm not going to call and report it. I'm not going to put a target on my kid's head. And I get that. I understand that. And that seems to be the case in a lot of situations where people, they just don't want to get involved. They don't want the hassle. They don't want the repercussions. So in part of this conversation, that was one of the things that was brought up, was call Crime Stoppers. The squeaky wheel does get the grease. And I mean, this is not just a Mount Pearl issue. This is something that's happening everywhere. And we know, we all hear about it. We see it on Facebook. There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of vandalism. There are a lot of things that are happening. And people say they didn't report it because, by the time the police would come, they were gone. Perhaps, but still report it. Call and report it, whether you call the RNC or if you don't want to get involved, call Crime Stoppers, because it is anonymous and at least the message is being reported, the statistics are being reported, and it's the constabulary, Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, are aware of things that are happening. So I cannot stress enough, please, 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 if you know of anything that's happening, call Crime Stoppers. You can give names and addresses if you have them, and the RNC will follow up at some point. I know that might not be immediate, and that's okay. Still call, because the statistics and the data are extremely important. So in our discussions with this, this was something that we wanted to bring forward to the public. Anonymity is guaranteed to those providing information. You will not be asked to give your name, and you will not have to testify in court. Just please share the information. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Yep, over to you, back to you, I should say, Councillor Locke. Thanks, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Fry. I know you're passionate about this issue, and I just want to reiterate one of the key points you said there. It's the data and the stats, because we've met regularly with our RNC, and if it's not reported, they don't see it as an issue. The data helps dictate where resources may be put. So by reporting it, and you said it may not be an immediate response, but it goes into their data set, and if they notice a certain level of activity in a certain area, well, they will direct then the resources to that area. So again, I just want to stress, the reporting, which leads to the data, which helps for the planning, which will increase surveillance or RNC coverage in that particular area. But if you don't report it, it's not in the data, so it's not highlighted as an area of concern. So I thank you for bringing that forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
No, thanks to both you. We're going to now move on to the next committee report, Corporate Services and Public Works. Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Your Worship. Everybody can hear me fine? All good. So we have actually, from our meeting from September 16th, we have 7 items bringing forward tonight for consideration for council. I will do the first 4, and Councillor Lane will do the last 3. So first one is our invoices for approval. You can see in your kit there we have 11 items. The committee recommends that the following invoices totaling $78,443.28 be approved for payment. You can see all of them in your kit there, and I so move.
Moved by Counselor Rice, seconded, thank you, by Counselor Lane. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? That's carried.
Thank you. Our second one is our payment register for the information of council. The following payment register for September the 13th to September the 25th for 2024 totaling $436,031.76. And the purchase card report for July the 25th to August the 24th totaling $369,199.56. That's just for information purposes for council. Good questions. Number 3 is our signing authority for checks for orders on the city's bank account. So the background on this one is pursuant to Section 98 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, which designates the city manager or the city clerk as countersigner for all checks or orders withdrawing money from the city's bank account. The city hereby designates Stephanie Walsh as the city clerk, appointed under Section 68 of the Act as signing authority with CIBC Bank. So the recommendation that this be approved be granted to authorize Stephanie Walsh as city clerk, appointed under 68 of the City of Mount Pearl Act as designated banking counter signing authority. And I so move.
Moved again by Counselor Rice and seconded, thank you, by Counselor Lane. All in favor? And those opposed? Carried. Back to you.
Thank you. Next, number 4 is our ultimate recipient Canada Community Building Fund. It's the administration agreement for 2024 to 2034. So the background on this one, the city is in receipt of the ultimate recipient Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF, agreement for signature. This agreement outlines the roles and responsibilities of the ultimate recipients and the government of Newfoundland and Labrador, and to confirm that the city's allocation for the 2024 to 2029, the second 5 years of funding 2029 to 2034, will be determined based on the 2026 census. The deadline for return of the signed agreement is September 30th, 2024. However, given the short-term timeline, staff have arranged for a deadline extension to October 2nd, 2024. So recommendation from the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends that the ultimate recipient, City of Mount Pearl, approve the city entering into the ultimate recipient Canada Community Building Fund Administration Agreement for 2024 to 2034, and the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, as represented by the Minister of Municipal and Provincial Affairs, outlining the roles and responsibilities of the province and the city. The city accepts the funding totaling $5,399,397 for 2024 to 2029 to be dispersed in accordance with the agreement and outlined below. A year 19, which is 2024 to 2025, $1,028,457. Year 2025 to 2026, $1,071,309. Year 21, 2026, 2027, $1,071,309. Year 22, 2027 to 2028, $1,114,161. And year 23, 2028 to 2029, totaling $1,114,116. And the final one, the final total for all these from 2024 to 2029 is $5,399,397. And I so move.
Moved by Counselor Rice, thank you. Seconded by Counselor Lane, thank you. Question from Counselor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a question, but I know Councillor Rice just went through, the numbers there, and what stuck out to me with this item is that our disbursements and the amounts we will receive are contingent on our census data. And I know the city of Mount Pearl, through our strategic plan, is all about intensification. And we're proactively trying to recruit and attract new residents to the city of Mount Pearl. And this is the reason here. I know our population has been declining over the past number of census periods. I think about 2% over the last census period. So the loss of population will impact the amount of money that we receive under this agreement. So I just wanted to highlight, the reason for being proactive in intensification and trying to attract more people, to our fine city. It does have financial implications for funding activities like this. So I fully support this, and I thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, it's great when the federal government provides money to municipalities, and this is the old gas tax funding. Seeing no other hands up, looking behind me now online too. Councillor Antolo?
Is this federal money or provincial money? It says provincial. You said federal.
Yeah, it flows from the federal government to the provincial, and then they allocate it through, I think, municipal affairs.
Thank you.
And not all gas tax money goes directly to municipalities. Some of it's spent on other public funds, but so that's the way the agreements are structured, right? But no, happy to see support coming from both levels of government every time. I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? And carried. Thank you. Councillor Rice, I was going to ask, one of my colleagues has asked that we just defer number 5 so we can have a little in-depth discussion at Committee of the Whole. So if it's okay with you and Councillor Lane to take that off the agenda just for this evening, and we'll get back to it in 2 weeks' time. Is that okay?
Yeah, we certainly can. If Director of Corporate Services is fine, myself and Councillor Lane should have no problem with it.
Yeah, I'm looking around at my colleagues. No objection. Okay, let's move to number 6. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor Lane will take over here now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the 6th item on our agenda is FCM's GMF funding application for Growing Canada's community canopies. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund has a $291 million initiative called Growing Canada's Community Canopies that supports planting trees across the country, contributing to climate action. Staff have reviewed the GCCC application requirements, noting council's required support as 50% of gross project is to be paid by the city. The Public Works Department recommends support for the city to make an application for funding for projects in line with the Urban Forestry Plan, including a budgetary commitment for 50% of the cost of the proposed projects, and the department's recommendation was supported by the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee at their meeting on September 16th, 2024, and by the Committee of the Whole at their meeting of September 17th, 2024, with a 2025 budget commitment of $200,000 and work to be carried out over 2024 and 2025. Given the time sensitivity to allow for meeting the application deadlines of October 15th, 2024, the Committee of the Whole authorized staff to proceed immediately with the pre-application process, with the matter to come forward for ratification approval for October 1st, 2024 council meeting. The Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends that the ratification approval be granted for the city's contribution to projects in keeping with the city's urban forestry plan to increase the city's tree canopy via an application to the FCM's GMF Growing Canada's Community Canopies funding program, with an estimated total project's cost of $400,000.
Can you hear us, Councillor Lane? We lost your sound for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Could you go back to, I don't know, the last, how about the last, sentence? I think that's probably what we missed. That's all.
Okay. Um, the GCCC funding program and the city's contribution in the amount of $200,000, including HSD, committed under the 2025 budget and to be carried out over 2025 and 2026 in the areas of Old Placentia Road, Sagona Avenue to Ruth Avenue, and Richard Nolan Drive to Commonwealth Avenue. And I so move.
Thank you. We're getting through it. Moved by Councillor Lane, and second, thank you by Councillor Rice. Any questions, Council? Councillor Fry, then Councillor Locke.
Thank you. I just want to say I am so pleased with this, but I want to say a thank you to our staff, because we have our regional urban forestry plan, got to get it correct. And this has been on our books now for a while, and we've been contributing to it every year, on a little by little basis. And for our staff to find this program that gives us 50-cent dollars, I think that's fantastic. So it's going to save us money in the long run. And I think this is a great opportunity to enhance our city and to carry out our plans for urban forestry. So I just want to say thank you to our staff, and I can't support this enough. Thank you.
You be worried then when you said you can't support it enough. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to, repeat exactly, but my sentiments, again, to our staff for doing this. And I was speaking with Director Dollemont beforehand. I'm so delighted about this. And, it's 50-cent dollars here and for the city of Mount Pearl. But I don't know the exact quote, but it goes something like, someone sits under the shade of a tree today because someone planted that tree years ago. And I just saying to Director Dollemont as well as Director Collins here that this city in 30 years, because of this tree planting initiative, is going to be absolutely, absolutely spectacular. I may not be around to sit under the shades of the trees, but my grandchildren certainly will be. So I commend our staff and I commend my council colleagues for this initiative. It does so much for our climate change actions here in the city of Mount Pearl. It beautifies our city. It cleans the air for our residents. It just adds to the overall well-being. So I fully support this. Thank you.
And just to note, we're in the pre-application stage phase, right? This is to open the door so that we can get it further down the road. Councillor Antle.
I'm excited about this on many, many fronts, but one of the things, as Councillor Fry said, the council, there's 50-cent dollars. I mean, our canopy in the city, our urban forestry plan is quite strong as it is. When you go around the city now and see our tree, it's fabulous. I mean, just a couple of years ago, we had a orchard down on Forest Avenue that came from our forestry plan. And these 50-cent dollars are certainly going to make it more and more accessible. And I love what you say, Jim, in 30 years down the road, people are going to say, who had the foresight to plant more and more and more trees? So I can't support it enough. I will support it, I'm sorry. And thank you very much. And to our team who did develop this or deliver this, well done. Look for more. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll call the question, which is a motion to make an application. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, and the last item on our agenda this evening is a public works status report. Under Roads Division, work continues on asphalt repairs, street sweeping, maintenance holes, and catch basin repairs. Under Parks Division, work continues on Powers Pond Trail upgrades are nearing completion, and it looks fantastic, I must say. Maintenance of sports fields, Stonegate Crescent Playground is complete. Under Fleet Division, service and maintenance continues, and winter equipment maintenance is ongoing. UTM Division, general calls, water and sewer repairs, leak detection, and the water levels at Babel's Big Pond as of September 23rd, 2024 are attached. And as you can see there in your kits, the levels are still quite high and looking good. And that's it for our report this evening. Thank you.
No, thank you, Counselor Lane and Counselor Rice. We'll move on to the Planning, Engineering and Development Committee report in the absence of the Deputy Mayor. Counselor Antle's the lead and Counselor Rice is the seconder.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's four here in our case. The first one is number 60 to 62 Glencoe Drive. It's stormwater repair. In 2017, the City of Mount Pearl entered into an easement and access agreement with C-Force Technologies at 6062 Glencoe Drive. The city required an easement on the portion of the property for the purpose of rerouting an existing stormwater system in the rear of the property. This was approved on July 18, 2017, at a committee hall meeting and executed on December 6, 2017. On December 7, 2023, Parcel Trucks received a development permit for a development of 6062 Glencoe Drive. The development permit outlines the city's responsibility to carry out the work necessary to supply and install piping of the swale or the stormwater system in the easement and feed into existing pipe storm system on Glencoe Drive. Planning, Engineering, and Development has received 4 quotes to complete this work, and the lowest qualified bidder was Modern Paving. And the recommendation is the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends the city award the work for the stormwater repair at 60 to 62 Glencoe Drive to Modern Paving in the amount of up to $195,300, HST included, and I so move.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Antle and thank you, second by Counselor Rice. Questions? Hearing none, I'll call that question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Carried.
And the next one is our Sursco AHU service contract. In June 2021, the city finalized negotiations with Dehumidified Air Service for sole source service agreement for the Summit Center, and this is our Sursco AHU unit. In November 2021, Council awarded the sole service contract to be approved for an initial 3-year term with a 2-year and 1-year extension available if mutually agreed upon by both parties. Contract cost for year 1 was $21,735, HST included, with a 2% increase for additional contract year. For contract years 2 and 3, the cost increased 2% annually, with the annual cost of $22,164.88 plus and the $22,613.60 HST included, respectively. The manager of facilities consulted with the Dehumidified Air Services regarding the potential extension, and they agreed to extend the contract for an additional 1 year at the same terms and conditions of the existing contract at the city's discretion. Dehumidified Air Services offered a discount over previous years. They gave us a deal offering the same service for a 1-year extension service for a total sum of $21,850, HST included. The recommendation, the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends the extension of the existing sole source service agreement for the Summit Center for Sursco AHU with the Dehumidified Air Service for additional 1 year for the period of January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025 for the annual bid amount of $21,850, HST included, at the same terms and conditions of the existing agreement. And I so move.
Second.
It is moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor? Those opposed? Carried.
Wow. The third one is the building and occupancy permit list for August the 22nd to September the 6th, 2024. The Planning, Engineering, Development Committee recommends that the residential and commercial building permits be issued for this period, showing a total construction value of $2,995,150 to be approved, and that the further occupancy list be accepted as presented. And you can see in the kit there, I think we have to do them 3 separate, do we, Mayor? The first one is residential, August 26th to September the 6th, 2024 for residential, totaling $1,455,200, and I so move.
Moved and seconded again, I think by Counselor Rice, moved by Counselor Antle. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried, thanks.
And the second one is for a building construction commercial, and it's for a total of $1,539,950, and I so move.
Second.
That doesn't seem.
No, that's a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, the math doesn't really
That's why I
jive,
stopped
does
there
it?
for
I don't think we, well, how about we just make a motion for C062? That work?
Yes, so it's just no amount, it's for a sign and it's a commercial and I so move.
Again, it's
Yep,
seconded
second.
by Councillor Rice. Thank you. And motion by Councillor Mantle. All in favor? Those opposed?
Aye.
Carried again.
And part three is just occupancy permits, and these have been issued in a 3-year case, and I so move. I don't think so.
Yep,
Second.
again, moved by Councillor Mantle, second by Councillor Rice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're
Yeah.
getting there.
Oh, yes,
Thank
and
you.
number 4, our capital projects, we're moving right along. Our line marking file schedule is 50% complete, and that's everything for our paid committee, Your Worship.
Keep her straight and narrow. Good job, all committee work, lots of proclamations. We're gonna have a quick roundtable starting tonight. I'm gonna do it in the order of where we sit in the chamber. So Councillor Locke will be first and get ready after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 items here. First has to do with a great event upcoming this weekend at our Reed Community Center, and that is, of course, Friday night is Oktoberfest. But that's sold out, unfortunately, which is good and bad. Bad for those that don't have a ticket, good for the event that it sold out so quickly. But just a note to our public that the Beyond Beer Fest for Saturday night, there are still tickets available. So if you want to get out and purchase one of those, that promises to be a great time as well. The second one, Mayor, that I want to bring up is October 1st is National Seniors Day. And it's a chance to celebrate the older adults right across Canada and certainly here in the city of Mount Pearl. And I just want to tip my hat to, Georgina and our Seniors Independence Group and the great work they do for the seniors, in our city. And also, again, to our staff. I just think about the safe walks for the seniors that we've been having over the past couple of months and all the other in-kind services that our staff provides, to the seniors, in our population. So I just want to, again, express gratitude for all the seniors have done over the years and that they continue to do to make the city of Mount Pearl such a beautiful place to live. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you much. Going around the table, Councillor Antle.
Ooh, I was going to go through the screen, but just 2 things for me. And the first one is I just want to I'm not going to give a report on it, I'm just going to give a quick update. Our Mount Pearl Old Friends Dance was last Saturday night. And I must say it was a tremendous success, right? They sent me a report, but I want to thank the organizing committee members. There's 4 people on that organizing committee, and it's Rick Brown, Keith House, Kim Humber, and John Nosery. These guys have been working on this for the past 6 or 8 months, and they did a fabulous job. And I also was going around the hall, most of us were there. I talked to some of the people that were there, and they kept on saying, only in Mount Pearl would you find such a community event. These people grew up in Mount Pearl in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They went to school at Mary Queen of the World, Park Avenue Elementary, and they completed at Morse Academy. Most of these people completed at Morse Academy, and then they went to either the Brother Rice or Bishops. And when you think about this in the community, Mount Pearl was such a small place at that time, 60s, and we all still know each other. And with this, you go around, and most people had gray hair because, they were getting up there. But as you can say, and they love giving back to Mount Pearl, and they kept on saying they'd still live in Mount Pearl, they find a place to live in Mount Pearl. Some of these people moved out for different reasons. But I must give a heads out. I offer them to come to the City Hall and present a check to the food banks. But they did raise $5,500. Sorry, Kim just fell off his chair. But it's just amazing. They raised $5,000 in one night and give to the food banks. So it's hats off to them, and hopefully they'll drop in the City Hall and we'll have a little thank you to them. The other thing, on Sunday morning after this Saturday night, I showed up to the track and field at 8 o'clock that morning for our Newfoundland Labrador and Stuttgart Association A Million Things to Say walk. It's 1K, 5K walk and run. It's amazing. It's the 7th year that Greg has organized this. And in the 7 years, he's raised over $10,000 at this little walk. It's amazing. Now he has some more good news. I'm sure he'll bring it up to us when he comes here next week, and I won't share that. All right. But the crowd that were there, it was fabulous. And they all spoke so well about how much we're getting done. All right. And I love showing up there, and I'll do it again next year. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Rice, you're next.
Thank you, Worship. Just 2 items for me. I just want to say a big thank you, I guess, and congratulations to the Community and Recreation Department with the city. We We got the Hall of Fame up at the entrance of the Reed Center now. Phenomenal picture, and of all the Hall of Famers for the sports. And I just want to say a big thank you and to Derek Button of Impact Signs, who did those signs and logos. They're phenomenal pictures up there. So if you get a chance to get up to have a look at them, get up and see them. And the second one, I just want to say a big congratulations to Liam Hickey and Gavin Baggs. They are up in trying out now for the para hockey from the 27th of September until October the 2nd, which is tomorrow, for Canada, for Team Canada for the evaluation camp. So good luck to both of those guys for the para hockey. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of things for me. I just want to send a congratulations to O'Donnell High athlete Isaac Peddle on placing second in his age group at the Turkey Tea 10-kilometer road race. So a huge congratulations to him. And I also want to send congratulations to the Mount Pearl Paradise Skating Club athletes Carson Wang and James Reese on taking gold and silver respectively in the Star 7 men's category at the Skate NL. This happened in August, so this is a delayed congratulation. I was looking at the things I had saved on my phone. I didn't realize this was from August, but a huge congratulations to them regardless. That's it for me this evening. Thank you.
No, that's all good. Thank you very much, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of events coming up. On October the 14th, we have our annual craft fair. So just a reminder to the public that the city's annual fall craft fair will take place on Thanksgiving Monday, which is October the 14th, at the Reed Community Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Admission is $2 per person, and children under 12 are free. So for more information, contact Allison Whitty at Whitty, W-H-I-T-T-Y, that is, Whitty@mountpearl.ca, or call the city at 748-1000, and Allison's extension is 1206. Another really great event coming up is going to take place on October the 26th, and the Salvation Army in Mount Pearl are presenting this. It's called Brave, which is a girls empowerment event, and it's free registration for girls ages 12 to 18 years. And they're welcome to come for the full day, community leaders, yoga session, fun activities, information fair, great food, and giveaways. So anything that empowers young women and helps to build confidence is a good event. So I hope that everybody will show up for that. And finally, for me, on Sunday, I had the honor of attending the annual Police and Peace Officers Memorial Ceremony at the Confederation Building. And this is a ceremony to acknowledge fallen or lost officers in the line of duty, not just police officers, but peace officers as well. So I need to send a big thank you to our municipal enforcement team because they represented us so well. And I know Derek was carrying the flag, so we were very prominent in there, Mount Pearl Municipal Enforcement Officers. So thank you to our team for their commitment, and let's never forget the sacrifices made by any officer in the line of duty. And thank you to all who continue to keep us safe. Thank you, Your Worship.
No, thank you. Well said. It's been a long meeting. I want to thank Ms. Pico for her help getting the technology lined up tonight. I'm glad we stuck with it because we'll get some feedback, of course, from Councillors Lane and Royce perhaps later on, but it's nice they could join us from where they are. And it was a very good council meeting. So I'm going to accept a motion now to adjourn the meeting. And thank you, Councillor Locke, and second by Councillor Antle. We're adjourned.